The Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves at a pivotal moment in their ongoing quest to solidify the most important position in football, quarterback. Following a season of mediocrity and uncertainty at the position, the franchise has spent the better part of the offseason evaluating every possible avenue to bring stability and leadership to the offense. Yet here they stand, weeks removed from the NFL draft, deep into the summer, and still without a confirmed starter under center for the 2025 season. The situation is far from ideal. The team did make a move to address the depth chart in the 2025 NFL draft by selecting Ohio State's Will Howard in the 6th round. At just 23 years old, Howard is viewed as a developmental prospect. While the Steelers are intrigued by his physical tools, his arm strength, athleticism, and size, they also recognize he's far from ready to take the reins of a complex NFL offense, particularly one with postseason aspirations. The expectation among many insiders remains that future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers will eventually sign with Pittsburgh. The 41-year-old quarterback has been linked to the team for months. He's been seen at team facilities, reportedly worked out with several Steelers players during the offseason, and has maintained communication with head coach Mike Tomlin and general manager Omar Khan. For a time, it appeared all but certain that Rodgers would become the face of the franchise heading into 2025. But Rodgers continues to delay his decision. The reasons remain unclear. Some suggest he's genuinely torn between returning to football or retiring. Others believe he may be waiting to see if a better situation arises, perhaps an injury to a contender's quarterback that creates an opening for a late-season hero run. Whatever the case may be, the longer Rodgers remains unsigned, the more damaging it is to the Steelers' preparation and long-term planning. Every week without clarity is another week lost in installation, chemistry building, and leadership development. The Steelers' locker room, while stable and resilient, needs direction. The quarterback position is the heartbeat of any offense, and Pittsburgh's has been irregular for far too long. With that backdrop, the pressure continues to mount on Omar Khan and the Steelers front office. They cannot afford to enter training camp, or worse, the regular season, with Mason Rudolph as their top quarterback. Rudolph, while experienced within the Steelers system, has not demonstrated the ability to elevate a team or command a playoff-caliber offense. He is, at best, a reliable backup. At worst, a placeholder that limits the team's ceiling. Enter Kirk Cousins, the often polarizing veteran quarterback who finds himself in an increasingly tenuous situation with the Atlanta Falcons. According to Corey Woodruff for The Win, if Rodgers ultimately declines to sign with Pittsburgh, the Steelers are expected to pivot quickly to Cousins as a backup plan. The proposal on the table is reportedly a 2026 fifth-round pick sent to Atlanta in exchange for Cousins, an offer that could benefit both sides if the financial terms are right. The Rodgers drama can finally come to a close, Woodruff wrote. If Atlanta is willing to take on some of Cousins' salary, it can add back the 2026 fifth-rounder it traded away in the 2025 NFL draft. It's a win for both sides, as Cousins gets a starting job and the Falcons add back a draft pick. The logic is sound. Atlanta is clearly moving forward with 2024 first-round pick Michael Penix Jr. as their franchise quarterback. Penix, a dynamic passer with a high football IQ, has already earned praise from the coaching staff and appears to be the centerpiece of the Falcons' rebuild. In contrast, Cousins, who struggled mightily in 2024, represents the past. His 2024 season was, by almost every metric, the worst of his career. He tied for the league lead in interceptions, 16, struggled with consistency, and was eventually benched in favor of the rookie Penix by the end of the year. Despite his declining production, Cousins has made it clear that he still views himself as a starter in the NFL. According to sources close to the team, Cousins has expressed to Falcons brass that he would be willing to waive his no-trade clause for an opportunity to start elsewhere. He was also a no-show at Atlanta's voluntary OTAs on Wednesday, a move that signals his discontent and desire to move on. So why hasn't a deal happened yet? The holdup appears to be financial. Cousins signed a sizable contract with Atlanta, and much of his salary remains guaranteed. In order for a trade to be facilitated, the Falcons would likely need to absorb a portion of that salary, something they've been reluctant to do thus far. Still, with Cousins unhappy and Penix firmly entrenched as the starter, the organization may have no choice but to find a compromise if they want to avoid a toxic locker room situation. From the Steelers' perspective, trading a fifth-round pick for Cousins, assuming a salary adjustment, would be a relatively low-risk move that immediately improves their roster. Cousins, though no longer in his prime, is still a competent and capable NFL starter. He has made 4 Pro Bowls, thrown for over 39,000 yards in his career, and has led multiple teams to the playoffs. He may not be a game-changer, but he is unquestionably an upgrade over the current options in Pittsburgh. Moreover, Cousins fits well within Mike Tomlin's culture. He's a hard worker, a leader in the locker room, and someone who has earned respect across the league for his preparation and professionalism. He's also familiar with pro-style offenses and has experience operating behind subpar offensive lines, a likely scenario in Pittsburgh given their recent struggles up front. Still, Cousins comes with concerns. At 36, his mobility is declining, and his interception totals have risen each of the past 3 seasons. There are valid questions about whether his best football is behind him. But for a Steelers team that simply cannot afford to roll the dice on unproven talent in 2025, Cousins offers stability. The dream scenario, of course, is that Rodgers eventually signs and leads Pittsburgh to the postseason. With weapons like DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, and Najee Harris, there's enough talent on offense to make noise in the AFC. Pair that with a top-tier defense and elite coaching staff, and Rodgers could be the missing piece that propels the franchise back to prominence. But dreams require action. And right now, the Steelers are stuck in limbo. Rodgers holds the cards, and the team can't wait forever. At some point, likely before training camp, Omar Khan will have to make a decision, continue waiting for Rodgers or pivot to Plan B. If that Plan B is Kirk Cousins, the Steelers could do far worse. He won't win MVP. He won't carry a franchise. But he's dependable, experienced, and motivated to prove he still belongs in the NFL. For a team desperately seeking answers at quarterback, that might be enough. There's also another layer to consider. Cousins' presence in Pittsburgh could buy the franchise time to properly develop Will Howard. The rookie quarterback, though raw, has promise. He's a strong-armed, athletic passer who flashed upside during his time at Ohio State. By bringing in Cousins, the Steelers could allow Howard to learn behind a seasoned veteran, rather than rush him into action before he's ready. This kind of succession plan is something Pittsburgh has historically done well. Under Mike Tomlin, the Steelers have prided themselves on developing young players behind proven veterans. It's a model that creates continuity, reduces pressure on young quarterbacks, and builds a sustainable culture. Of course, all of this depends on Atlanta's willingness to part with Cousins and take on a portion of his salary. It also depends on Rodgers' decision, which continues to loom over the entire situation like a shadow. But the fact that Cousins remains on the Steelers' radar, even this deep into the offseason, speaks volumes. Pittsburgh knows it cannot enter the 2025 season with uncertainty at quarterback. The AFC is too competitive, the roster is too talented, and the fan base is too hungry for success. The Steelers must act, decisively and soon. Rodgers remains the ideal target. He brings pedigree, experience, and championship DNA. But if he chooses retirement or another opportunity, Kirk Cousins may be the best remaining option. For now, the Steelers are playing the waiting game. But time waits for no one. Not even for Aaron Rodgers. And the clock is ticking in Pittsburgh.